The creative moment is when you get beyond yourself, when you dissociate from everything known in your material world. Turns out when you do that and you start changing your brainwaves slow down into alpha and theta, you're suppressing the memory bank of the known self that keeps you plugged into three-dimensional reality. When you quiet down this mechanism, now all of a sudden you start connecting to that field. And when you can stay conscious in those subconscious realms, when you can literally regulate and change brainwaves, now you're in the operating system where you can make those significant changes. So we now know that when people apply the formula and they do that properly, now they're walking through that door where they're ready to create from. In other words, you can't create from the known. You can't create with your body. That's matter trying to change matter. And you can do it, it's just going to take a long time.
Right.
But when you create from the field instead of from matter, there's a whole different set of dynamics that takes place. And why not push that envelope to see, okay, if we've done this, is it possible to do this? As an example, we do these wonderful healing circles where you see these dramatic, instantaneous changes. So the person who's healed themselves of some health condition, when it comes time to heal somebody else, they're going to say, well, now I understand the science, I understand how this all works, I know how to get beyond myself, I know how to open my heart. They start piecing it all together. Let's take the formula to the next level. Now they witness a significant change in a person's body in real time, right there. So then the next question is, okay, like this happened many times. As an example, the woman who was at the event in Mallorca, Spain, her brother had a massive stroke in Colombia, and she went back to Colombia, and he was in a coma for 2 weeks. She called up the healing circle and said, hey, can we do a healing on my brother? Now, if you're playing by the rules of Newtonian physics, three-dimensional reality, you're going to say, well, you need to be in front of the guy in order to heal him. But if you understand there's no separation in the quantum, that everything's connected when you're in that place, so wouldn't that be the next application of the formula? So they go over the science, they get it. Okay, we just need a picture of him, and that's our coordinate. And if we're in the field,
sending a frequency to that coordinate.
Yeah, but you're not sending it anywhere because there's nowhere to send. There's no space and time there. You're connecting to it, exactly. That's a great way to say it. In 1 hour after that coherence healing, he comes back to consciousness.
Wow.
Now, that's the extension of where we're going. You see, now we're progressing. A woman who was in one coherence healing group was a pediatric nurse in Children's Hospital in Seattle, and again witnessed an amazing miracle after our event in Toronto. She comes back, and there's a little, they call them friends, there's a little guy failing. Doctors hit him with the paddles, they use all the drugs to bring him back, and they walk out of the room, and they say, we lost him. She walks over, puts her hands right in the field, and this kid comes right back online. Wow. Doctors are like, what was that? And now, so we have a lot of our interest now is, I want to get 50%. 1 out of 2 people, we're collecting the data in this coherence healings. When we're 50%, we're going to walk into a children's hospital, and we have 3 children's hospitals right now that are interested in us. We'll show them the data, we'll show them the results, we'll say we don't want any money, we'll never even touch the kids, all we want to do is just change their lives. And when we're 50%, we're going to start doing it in children's hospitals, and we're gathering the data right now.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, what else would we want to do with it, right?
Exactly. It's amazing. Yeah. Do you have kids?
I do.
How old are your kids?
My kids are in their 20s, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all older and on their way.
What do they think about this work?
Well, my oldest son, well, first of all, my kids have grown up with this work.
Yeah.
So you have to imagine, like, my oldest son coming back to one of my advanced workshops 3 years ago, and my friends saying, hey, is this your first advanced workshop? And he kind of glances over at him and says, I've been in the advanced workshop for 25 years. What are you talking about? So my oldest son is one of my team leaders. He's got a master's in engineering. He lives in Denver, in Boulder, Colorado. And he's passionate about the work. He met his fiancée at one of my workshops.
That's pretty cool.
And they're very, very similar. My daughter lives in London. She's got her master's in art at the Royal College of Art, and she's probably the best creator I have ever met in my life. I mean, she's just wired. She knows how to do it. And my youngest son is getting his degree in architecture at Cal Poly, And they're all at different stations in their understanding, but they understand the principles. And I've always said to them, you know, if you can figure this out early on, the rest of your life is going to be magic, right? Because
Yeah.
you know what to do. And they're pretty wired for it now. And I've really worked in setting up conditions in their lives so that they can apply these principles from an early age. And now that they're older, I think that they understand how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people are unhappy in relationships.
Yeah. Here's
And
my theory.
They're like, a lot of them are failing. I don't want to put that as a general thing, because there's a lot of happy relationships as well. But for people that are mission driven, how much more challenging is it to have a thriving relationship when you put your life into a mission?
No, here's the deal. I will never work in a relationship. I just won't. If I'm working in a relationship, something's wrong. I'll work on me. I'll bring my best. You bring your best, and we get together and we celebrate.
And it should
that.
work.
It should work. And if it doesn't, then I'm going to step back and see what is it about me, not you. What is it about me that I need to really look at and change? Now, if there's a vibrational match and it flows and it's fun and you connect on physically, mentally, mind, body, soul, you know, that's cool. I think that's healthy. But a mission-driven person can't be in a relationship where you have to keep going back and trying to fix something. I just won't do that. I just think that when it's right, and I'll know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do think that relationships can be easy, and I do think and I think that they should be, and I think that if you're heart-centered, that's a different place you meet.
Yeah.
Than other emotions, and again, every time I have a mystical moment, and I feel that transcendental love that I don't even know the word for, every time I have one of those moments, I think I got this all wrong. It's just that it is not chemical; it's electric, and
You got what all wrong?
well, the way we view the world, the way we we don't see things how they are, we see things how we are, you know, and every inner experience that's transcendental, experience enriches circuitry in your brain. Experience produces emotion or energy in the body. So you start having transcendental moments where you start connecting to that field. Its signature is love. But not love like a love for your puppy. This is like an arousal. This is, I don't know the other word, but bliss.
Spiritual arousal.
And we have the evidence. We can say, oh, watch this person's brain. And scientists are studying our work. I'll say, oh, watch, she's going to pop in a few minutes. What do you mean? Just watch, she's going to pop. And all of a sudden, this person goes into an arousal. The sympathetic nervous system is so switched on, but the arousal isn't like an arousal that from the environment that produces anger or aggression or fear, or anxiety or pain or suffering. That's survival in the environment that produces the arousal. This arousal is coming from energy in the body that's moving up into the brain, and the arousal is bliss. The arousal is ecstasy. The arousal is
Freedom, peace.
oof,
Yeah.
but it's
Love,
not
yeah.
chemical. It's you'll feel it in every single cell in your body. Now here's the outcome of that. The outcome of that is that when you open your eyes and some conditioning, some layer has been removed, your spectrum of the way the world looks broadens now, because now you're wired to perceive what's always existed, but you didn't have the circuits in place to perceive them. So then it's the inner experience that literally transforms our experience of the outer world. And so when you start having moments where you hit that kind of frequency, or you have those moments of love, you're less dependent on anyone to bring you happiness.
Yeah.
You're okay. You can love the person for their flaws, because you can see a part of yourself you used to be that you no longer are. And instead of judgment, you have compassion, and you can encourage and communicate from a level of connection instead of intimidation or competition, or however relationships work. So I do think that it's energy and vibration, and I think that in our community, at least, people who have relationships that are built from our community, tend to be more long-lasting because they're more self-aware.
Yeah.
And so there's no blame, there's no excuses, there's no make wrong, there's no competition, there's none of that. There's just, this is who I am, you know? And I think that the ultimate goal is when you reach the point in your life when how you appear to the world is who you really are, that level of transparency it takes no effort.
Right.
You can be yourself, and you know, people say to me, wow, you're pretty approachable. And I say, well, God, I work so hard every day on overcoming myself in the morning, overcoming my ego.
Yeah.
Why would I want to build it up the next day? Because I got to face that guy again tomorrow morning.
Course.
So why not just keep, you know, taking those edges and smoothing them down so that you're less unconscious to all of those programs that are built in relationships.
What do you think is going to be your biggest challenge over the next decade? As we get into 2020, into 2030, what will be your biggest personal challenge in the next 10 years?
We are like a living organism. I mean, the company is just, our community is growing so large. I think our biggest challenge right now is finding venues and the logistics to be able to go to the next level of being able to do it on a larger scale without losing the efficacy, or without
the intimacy, the connection.
Yeah, I mean, we've done really great, Louis, as a culture into responding to the world's needs, and I mean we hit challenges all the time, you know, and I was just telling my staff in a meeting, look, we just can't keep doing things the same way. You can't ever do that again. It's just, there's not a time that doing things the same way doesn't work. So you got to be able to grow, you got to be able to learn, you got to be able to stay contemporary with all the new technology and everything else. And you got to keep bringing on a bigger team. I mean, I am nothing. I am nothing without my team, honestly. I mean, between my staff and my team leaders and our volunteers and the way we do things, it's a living organism. Everybody counts. And for me, when I have a group of people where everybody leads, you know, you see those school of fish or the flock of birds all moving together. You study that phenomenon. You think that there's some leader that everybody's following. Turns out there is no leader. Everybody's leading. It's a bottom-up phenomenon. So you get a really greased team that really is heart-centered, that really is has the intent for the greatest good. And it's not about them, it's about how they co-lead. And I think that helps me do one thing really well, and that is to focus on the people in the audience instead of everything else. So we've been growing, I think, for the last 15 years or more. And I think just our biggest challenge is to be able to handle that growth. I mean, I was just talking to my team, we get over 8,000 emails a month. I mean, with people with a lot of health conditions, a lot of questions,
and want
support. And so we're building infrastructure. We're building online ways to get people engaged and to be able to, for me, to provide resources for people. So I think the biggest challenge is if I could, I'm going to stay healthy, but aside from staying healthy, is just being able to handle the growth.
Yeah. How old are you now?
57. My
57?
body's 57.
Your mind is what? Like a 12-year-old child?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's 100 and it's 12 at the same
time. Who knows,
yeah.
right?
57, man. I hope I look like that at 57. What do you think the world humanities challenge will be over the next decade as we enter 2020?
Back to the principle, Louis, of just different paradigms beginning to collapse. You know, economically, politically, socially, environmentally, religiously, education, journalism, medicine. They have to move into chaos. And chaos is just unpredictable.
Because they're not
order.
working.
Yeah, exactly. But now here's the challenge for humanity. You have one of two ways to embrace the breakdown of those paradigms. You can face them with anger and hostility and fear, and you are only contributing to more of it. We have to see that those breakdowns are essential for something greater to happen. Now, we can't wait for governments to take care of us. We can't wait for medicine to give us a drug that's going to heal us from a condition. The truth is, with a greater level of consciousness, the change in awareness because of information, the greatest challenge we have as those paradigms break down is to no longer emotionally react in the same way and be victims. You can't say, this president, this person, this whatever, is actually making me feel this way and think this way. Basically, you're in the program that something outside of you is controlling you, how you feel and how you think. So then to self-regulate then is to say how I think and feel is going to change my outer environment. So then we're all faced with great opportunities brilliantly disguised as impossible situations. And we are at that point, at that nexus point in our evolution as a species. So then you don't try to fix that. That's never going to work. What you do is you create something better. And then everybody just naturally just leaves that and goes here. Now, it used to be some people would just come here and the majority would stay here because they're clinging to what they've been programmed or believe in. But now, because of information, everybody's like, that's not going to work. I already know it's not going to work, and I don't care what anybody says. This is working for me. So people are moving to new applications, to new paradigms because it's working for them. So as long as we don't emotionally react to the breakdown that's happening currently in the world, and chaos is just unpredictable order, you know, as things move towards disorder, the novelty that's being created is literally chaos. Because the known and everything staying the same is order. But as you step out into that unknown, you're having the chaos is unpredictable order being expressed through novelty. And we have to be able to learn how to take that disorder and with the application of brain and heart coherence, create more order. So you can't just say, hey, I'm standing up for peace and being miserable with your coworker. You don't get to talk about peace until you're the living prayer of peace. Not just we know crime rates go down and violence goes down when there's peace projects in communities where there's meditation on peace. But when those peace gathering projects end, you see that crime and violence and everything returns back to the same level. So it's not enough to just think it. We got to demonstrate it. So if I'm demonstrating peace and you're demonstrating peace, somebody else, because of mirror neurons, is going to go, wow, that person's unpredictable. Wow, they're different. It's given me permission to do the same. So I think that ultimately moving into that state of being, as human beings, and creating unity. That you keep watching so many programs on television that talk you into prejudice, that talk you into separation, that talk you into fear, that talk you into violence, that talk you into war, deceit, negativity. You're not going to trust anybody. In fact, you're going to see difference between you and me or anybody because that's what separation does. But when your heart's centered and you feel connected, you don't see the person any longer, right? You see something transcendent of them. You see an essence, right? And I think if you do that really well, that kind of emergence of a new consciousness that's less dependent on all of those outer things is really difficult to control. And if you want to control a community, control their emotions and control them in survival. Right. When you overcome your emotions, you can see the hidden meaning behind all things. And when everybody's looking this way, you may be looking that way because you understand, look, you've just overcome your fear. You've just overcome your hostility and anger. You've overcome the program of whatever it is. I swear to you, you are going to be able to connect people. And that then is the hope of the future. That's why I'm hopeful of the future, because I think that all of this that's happening in a world right now where more things are happening in a shorter amount of time. I mean, if you're alive in this world and you haven't been experiencing the quickening, I said to someone the other day, the day where you end your day and feel complete because you finished all your work, you'll never have that. And, there's always more emails and more things to check, right? So the demand has pressed us into this crazy realm of multitasking, and I think that you start shifting. Where you place your attention is where you place your energy. So if you're shifting your attention all over the board, your energy is scattered.
Yeah.
So then when you start disconnecting from everybody, your boss, your coworker, you know, the news, your cell phone, your computer, and you start going this way, I think it's into the present moment. Then if where you place your attention is where you place your energy, and you're truly in the present moment, you got a lot of energy to execute. You got a lot of energy to use, and you want to be able to do that eyes open.
The more scattered your energy, the less you have to focus on pushing one thing forward.
That's why people's dreams don't happen, because
Too scattered.
There's no look. If you keep putting your attention on some future experience that you are imagining with your mind, your body's going to follow your mind right there, because that's where your energy is. But if you're putting your attention on everything known in your life, the shower, the coffee maker, you know,
Right.
the toilet, and your body's following your mind every day to the known. But we want your body to follow your mind to the unknown, right?
Yeah.
Enough people get to doing that, and you could do better in creating things in your life. That we see this. Wealthy people in our work that have focused on wealth, some of them living in the back seat of their car, some of them bankrupt that now have multi-million-dollar companies. What do you think they want to do with that money? They want to give it away.
Yeah, give back.
Let me tell you why. Not because of any other reason, is that they now know that they could create more.
Right.
Well, why, if you're abundant, why, abundance to me has changed. Abundance means I have more than I need, like way more than I need. So if I have way more than I need, and I know how to create it, then take it. I'll create more of it. So now you're no longer holding on in scarcity. You're making a difference. So wealthy people that have created a lot of wealth in this work, they want to give back. They want to make a difference. And I think that that's how we're innately wired. I think we're all innately wired to care for one another, to make a difference. And the living organism, our community, we heal one another. That's what we do.
Right.
We inform one another. We encourage one another. We support one another. We shine for one another, not to outshine another person, to shine to show them that they can shine, and that to me is super healthy. So then I'm applauding your success, because I want you to succeed, because you're telling me that if you can do it, I can do it.
Right.
So there's no longer any separation. I think that's hopeful for the world. Then you start celebrating diversity. Then you're like, wow, you're way different than me. I want to study you, because I want to bring that into who I'm becoming. Yeah, you create a strong community that.
If you want to learn more about how to master your mind, check out this next video right here.
So when people begin to disengage and get beyond themselves, you are at your absolute best when you get beyond yourself. Then getting the person to that point.
How does someone get to that point?
Yeah, so we teach them that formula. We teach them